Welcome to this module on network security and forensics. Until now, you would have heard about the issues with respect to OS forensics and OS security. And all these things would have been an introductory session. You would also got a review about what had happened in the previous IS1, IS2 and IS3. What we will do now is, we will provide you a very brief introduction into this area of network security and forensics. We will be elaborating on many of these aspects in the forthcoming classes after we complete the OS security. Therefore, this is just an introductory session on what are all the areas we will be covering on network security and forensics. We all know that hacking, either internal or external, is a crime. There are of course certain courses on ethical hacking, and the idea behind these courses is that we have to put ourselves in the feet of an hacker and think, if a person is a hacker, how is he going to work on hacking a machine. Therefore, you have a lot of courses on ethical hacking, and we know that there are lots of tools available in the market for doing ethical hacking. You should be aware that many of the hackers are less than 15 years of age, and this hacking is actually organized crime. The reason why people hack is they will be able to catch hold of sensitive data, okay, and if you are a media person, you want to increase your TRP rating by getting these kind of sensitive data. If you are a criminal, then you want to make money out of this sensitive data, and everyone knows that data is very sensitive because there is the issues of privacy and secrecy, etc. Now, with every data going digital, it is inevitable that we have to protect our data as much as possible. So, the work of a network administrator today is not only taking care of a computer network and ensuring security of the organization from external hacking or attacks, but also the configuration of networks, etc. Now, we will see that if you do not configure a machine or a network properly, then you give rise to security loopholes whereby a hacker can take over your network or your machine. Now, this kind of hacking is similar to organized markets for stolen goods. For example, I get some data and there are people who are waiting to consume this data, say probably to get fame or probably to get money or probably to increase their TRP rating if it is a news channel. Now, that is one way. The other way is that they might do some sort of a system kidnapping. The idea is, okay, they will be monitoring your activities and they will be stealing personal data, or they will even take over your system. In fact, in many of the ransomwares, what people do is they take over your system and then encrypt your disk and then send you email that unless you actually pay me some money, we will not give you the decryption key, because of which you will not be able to look into your data. Now, in order to avoid any trace of money transfer being taken, what they usually do is they will ask for Bitcoin for payments. I hope you are aware of many of such things, and one of the simplest ways to take care of this is not to click on links for which, I mean, out of curiosity, many times you get some emails where you say you click this link, you get this much money, etc. Now, as long as you are not greedy and go on clicking that links, many of these kind of attacks can be prevented. Then there is one bunch of groups which actually does hire hackers. Say for example, I have a company and there is a competitor for me. Now, I want to get internal marketing details of that company. Okay, so what do? I go and illegally I hire a hacker and he does the job for me and he gets me all the data, and using which I can gain market share or anything, and many of these payments usually happen via bitcoins. Let us not think about hacking alone, because of this very famous incident. Okay, so it so happened in 2008 that Pakistan wanted to block YouTube. Now, what had happened was the system administrator actually wrongly configured the network, and because of which any YouTube traffic, okay, was not, I mean, out of Pakistan or inside Pakistan, I mean, all these traffic were sent to something known as a black hole, and actually YouTube was disrupted for such a long time. I think it was around 2 hours it got disrupted. Now, the point here is that it is not who is blocking. You have to know that the internet is so vulnerable that even a very minimal misconfiguration can lead you to the loss of availability of the internet. And if you remember, a loss of availability can be translated to something tangible like money for a company. For example, you assume that Amazon.com does not have itself available for 2 or 3 hours. Imagine the amount of loss that would happen to this company, okay, if it loses internet connectivity for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, it is not only true with Amazon.com, it is true for other internet based companies also, for example Uber. Okay. So, these companies have to have their network 24/7, and there should not be any downtime at all. I mean, that is one of the very stringent requirements, and a minimal misconfiguration can lead to this, which tells you how we are doing a tightrope walk with these networks and the internet, etc. Then who does the hackers target? Okay. So, one of the, we all know that in this age of knowledge economy, data is power, and that is why you have a lot of courses like data science, data mining, etc., etc., etc. So, wherever a valuable data is found, okay, people will hack it. Okay. And the other point is that you could use the data for even doing illegal or unauthorized activities. Okay. One of the other point is that, see, many of these governments work in secrecy, and secrecy is needed in any governance. Okay. And sometimes if the data can get hacked, okay, so whatever happened in WikiLeaks, for example, I mean, some of the personal conversations or the conversations between some top level presidents, okay, these were let out by WikiLeaks, and it created a huge amount of sensation, and even it can bring down governments. So, you need to be careful that data is very precious, and it has to be protected as much as you are protecting your money. Okay. Monitoring of phone calls, okay, both for legal and illegal activities. Okay. And if you look at this, I mean, if I am going to talk to someone, okay, over phone, okay, it is called as phone tapping, okay, and this is made very easy with voice over IP, okay, because in many a time voice over IP data is not encrypted. Of course, there are certain protocols to encrypt voice over IP data. Now, there are certain tools which are very difficult to hack, for example WhatsApp, and that is why many of the countries also prevent people from using WhatsApp, okay, because it is very difficult to see. WhatsApp is a personal one-to-one communication. If that happens, okay, it does not leave any trace until someone picks up their phone and then gets the data, because it could be a very short communication also, whereas if you are going to use something like SMS, these data can be recorded. So, some tools are very difficult to hack like WhatsApp. So, because of this, anyone who holds a data might be a target of these hackers. Now, the whole idea behind the network security and forensics, there is also some kind of legal stuff that is involved. For example, anybody can be a hacker now, and so in India especially you have this kind of juvenile laws which are much different from laws that are applied to the adults. Okay. And if for example a 10-year-old person, okay, by chance hacks some company's network, now how are you going to actually punish him? Okay. What kind of laws are you going to use? So, this is another aspect that we need to think about, and today anybody can profit from hacking. Say for example, I am able to hack a movie booking site, let us assume, okay, where I am able to book tickets with zero money, okay, and there have been cases where such things have happened. Okay. So, now just for fun, okay, I might book some 10 tickets and then go and watch the movie with no trace of who did all this, and there will be a data loss for the theaters. Okay. So, you know, any data holder can be hacked, and we should be prepared for if some kind of hacking happens, how are you going to get out of this? So, if you remember, it is like getting affected in health. First, let us try to do a lot of preventive care. If you are okay with prevention and you are able to, you are like vaccination, then well and good. Otherwise, if you get affected, then you have to protect yourself from getting affected, okay, again. So, that is going to be the agenda, okay. So, if the forensics, the idea is that one, you can find out with forensics whether anyone is trying to hack you, okay. Two, if someone hacks you, then what is it that the person, the attacker has used to hack you. So, that is the second way in which forensics can be used. And let us be aware that I mean, even though we talk about personal data and all that, once you go into the web and once you log into websites like Facebook, Twitter, no longer is your data personal. I mean, you can, anyone can just find out what is your nature and what are your interests by using Twitter and Facebook data. Anyway, so you need to be careful about this problem of security, network security. Now, if you, how is this network security problem different from the other problems that we are facing, okay, like say OS hacking. Okay. One of the things is network security is cross jurisdictional crimes. Okay. For example, you could have a data breach in India that arises from another country, for example, your external country or enemy country. You would have heard of lot of websites being defaced by people, hackers from other countries, and actually there is a kind of war that is going on. I mean, if hackers from another country deface some of the websites, then hackers from India do it to that country. So, this kind of stuff is going on in the internet for quite a long time. I mean, if you do it with guns and bullets, you call it as a war, but here you can call it as a cyber war. Okay, the cyber war is actually going on between many of the countries. I mean, and some of this is just for fun. Okay. Anyway, but it is illegal to do this anyway. Now, the other thing is, if there is a problem, okay, even if I do cyber forensics, then you are supposed to have multilateral enforcement. For example, security is not just about securing your network, it is also physical security is also a part of security. I mean, you let anyone inside your campus and then say that my network has been hacked, even though you might have a lot of physical network security in your infrastructure. Okay. The other aspects is that what happens if I store my data in the cloud, okay, and that data is breached, whom are you going to hold responsible? I mean, is it because you should not have stored the data in the cloud, or the cloud service provider did not provide you the effort, or the network which was bad so that they were able to hack it, etc., etc., etc. So, there are a lot of issues that will come in. The other thing is that about the cross border data transfers. Okay. So, one of the things about internet routers you would be aware is that they do not use the shortest path to transfer data from one location to another location, because a protocol like BGP is actually policy based, which means it runs based on certain policies that are governed by some let us say a transaction, okay, or some kind of agreement between service providers. Okay. So, for example, if I find out that my BSNL link is much more cheaper than the other link from Airtel, then I would normally like to route a lot of my data through BSNL rather than Airtel, because I save on certain amount if I route via BSNL, something like that is used. Okay. So, that is known as policy based routing, that is, you base it on certain policies and not on the network architecture. I mean, you also use network architecture, but this is, so BGP as such is a policy based routing, and because of which, okay, the data need not take the shortest path, even though shortest path is one of the criteria that is used by BGP. Okay, and due to this, you are not given an assurance that data will go from one location to another location to the specific path. Of course, there is a lot of research work that is done being on source based routing and etc., where you tell which path you have to take, etc. But then the idea is that, because if you know which path you are going to take, you can at least secure the path, and if you do not know which path you are going to take, what will you secure? Okay. So, this is actually a problem with architecture as well as, and this network security and forensics is actually an international problem. Okay. So, what we will do in the next few sessions is that, in the few sessions, in the sense over the course, is that we will talk about network security at one point, and then we will also talk about what all the security attacks and countermeasures like firewalls, intrusion detections, etc. In fact, the course will also tell you what is the forensic value of each one of these devices. I mean, for example, if I use a firewall or an intrusion detection system, they can provide much more information than something else. Okay? And we will be touching upon these aspects. We will also look at network forensics. We will give an introduction about how to analyze data, for example, how to gather data, how to observe data, how to analyze it. We are not going to look at very data intensive or computer intensive techniques. We will be talking to you, giving you a sort of introduction, after which you can take it up from there, and we will also give you some kind of takeaways from the whole course, and that will be happen at the end of the course. So, what we will do is we will now in the next module take a look at what are the common security attacks and their countermeasures, and we will discuss each one of these devices very briefly, so that this acts as an introduction to you when we go and look at the forensic value of these devices. For example, if you firewalls actually protect, if someone is trying to find a way into the network, that means want to enter your network, then you actually use firewalls to stop them. And what you do is that you only allow those traffic in which you are interested, and you filter away all those traffic which you are not interested. The second part kind of security attack is exploiting software bugs and buffer overflows, and for this the intrusion detection system and prevention system, IDS or IPS, can be used to ensure that many of these ransomwares and other things like that can be filtered out at the entry stage itself, because see, once the data enters the computer and spreads, then it is like a virus. It is better you prevent something from happening rather than after something enters you try to check everyone whether this have been affected, etc. The third one is denial of service. Denial of service is ensuring that you do not have 100% availability for your machines. That can be prevented by using ingress filtering or intrusion detection system. Then there is this hijacking of sessions, TCP sessions that can be hijacked. For example, when two users are communicating with each other, then you can actually go inside and then participate or change the data packets, eavesdrop, they call it as eavesdropping, and then change the data packet, etc. So that you can prevent by using IPsec, where you can either you can have an encrypted security payload, or you can have an authentication header which is encrypted, etc. Then you can look at packet sniffing, and that can be prevented by using encryption. You can also look at social problems. See, this is also very important. I mean, someone who would like to act as a friend to you, and then he is going ahead and trying to get data out of you, and that can be done by continuing education. I mean, this is known as the social engineering attack, and this social engineering attacks is similar to someone becoming friend with you, or for example, I mean, this is very important. See, many of you try to enter a password while traveling in a train or something. Someone could peep from your back and then find out what your password is for the website and use it. So you have to be very careful when you are moving in a social group, and then avoid these kind of things. Otherwise, some people will come to you and act as if they are very concerned about your problems, and then they will try to extract information out of you. All these things can happen. So this is known as a social engineering attack, and the only way to prevent social engineering is to educate people that such kind of attacks can happen. We will very briefly look at each of these devices that are used for providing network security. In the due course, when we go into the details of the network forensic subjects, we will look at what is the forensic value that these kind of devices provide. For example, a firewall can provide you lot of details about who is trying to intrude into the system. So, in that way we will be collecting logs from each of these devices and then trying to identify how an attacker is trying to attack our network. What is in general, many network applications and protocols have security problems that are fixed over time. If you want a similarity in automobile industry, even though it is not about security, you would see that many of the automobile companies, after 1.5 years of releasing a product, come back and say that look, we have a malfunction in one of these devices, for example an airbag. So, therefore, come to our workshop and please replace your airbags. Similarly, what happens is that many network applications and protocols, when people start using, hackers try to hack into those applications and protocols, and the people who want to prevent this kind of hacking provide lot of patches to ensure that people do not hack the system. So, it is a kind of a tug of war. Who is going to win? We really do not know, and usually it is the hackers who win. Okay. Now, the problem is that, say, let us say that people keep on releasing patches quite often and everyone has to fix those patches. Say for example, a Windows patch, everyone has to fix a Windows patch in all the machines. Suppose your organization has 10,000 machines. Now, it could be practically impossible that all the people would patch, and even if they patch at the same time, look at the amount of data. They have to download the data from the website and then install it in their machine, and for that they have to have administrative privileges, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes what happens is, in order to ensure that in order to not to solve the or pass on the problem to the end people, you could have certain devices such as firewalls, okay, where the network administrator, okay, can limit access to certain websites or devices that these people make. Say for example, if you keep your if you keep your computer open, anyone can hack into your network. So, what I can do is I can put certain kind of restrictions that you cannot go to these kind of sites, you cannot browse these kind of sites, etc., and you will not be let some kind of a traffic. For example, a DDoS attack happens and your network, your computer might be directly affected, but I can have some device in front of your computer will prevent these kind of DDoS attacks. That is exactly what a system like firewall does. Okay, but you should also be aware that firewall should be kept updated by the administrators, and a firewall is like a castle with a drawbridge. So, it can be either hardware or software. So, only if a person enters through the firewall, they will be able to access your network. Now, your firewall should be strong anyway. Because a firewall is the first level of defense that any organization does, it should also have capability. One, it should be a very powerful box. Okay. Two, it should be able to give you a lot of data if a hacking or any attack happens. Okay. So, the logs come from firewall can be extremely useful for forensics. Now, usually what does a firewall do? So, you will have something known as an external firewall and an internal firewall. So, this is the external firewall which actually prevents attacks from the internet, and this is the internal firewall which actually tries to prevent attack into your local organizational network. And between these two, you will have something known as a demilitarized zone, where you will have web server, email server, web proxy, etc. So, what these devices do is, suppose I want to access the internet, what you do is you do not directly access it, you come via this firewall and access these devices, and these devices will provide a path to access the internet. We will talk about web proxies in details in the forthcoming network forensic sessions. Okay. Now, the idea is that you feel happy that, okay, this will not get hacked. Okay. So, that is why they are placed between two firewalls to prevent the internal hacker from doing some damage to this, or an external hacker from doing some damage to this. The next is the intrusion detection. This is usually kind of live monitoring device which looks at suspicious activity on your network. Okay. And the idea behind this, there are a lot of software exploits that are released, and then like buffer overflows, etc., and this intrusion detection system can actually look out for those kind of signatures, okay, which they call it as the intrusion signatures, and then they can actually go ahead and ensure that, okay, the system is protected. The idea is that, okay, these kind of signatures might arise over a period of time. Suppose I come to know, if this is a web server that this is a virus, it has a certain signature. Signature is generally a pattern that you detect out of the software. Okay. Usually a signature is identified, for example, if someone does port scanning, okay, the signature is that the port numbers might get incremented one by one. So, x plus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1. If you see the port numbers increasing, then you have an idea that someone is trying to do a port scanning. Okay. So, in order to do that, you can do a random number generation, which can generate all the random numbers with equal probability. In that way, you can overcome this n plus 1 kind of a pattern based behavior. So, essentially, as I told you, okay, this will be a kind of a tug of war, where if the hacker finds out that we are having an intrusion detection system which can detect that port scanning is happening, you will go ahead and change the hacking algorithm. Again, you have to come up looking at the distributions of the port in which someone is accessing, you will be able to identify that this guy is a hacker, etc. So, this is a kind of tug of war, as I told you, who is smarter than the other. Okay. Similarly, you can do some kind of OS fingerprinting. For example, I will try to find out, I think Vasan will be talking about this. When I scan a machine, I will try to find out what kind of operating system that machine is using. So, if I find out that it is a Windows operating system, then I will try to work on software which will help me hack the Windows operating system. So, this kind of OS fingerprinting helps me identify or helps me in writing code which is specific to that particular OS and exploit it. Similarly, denial of service attacks, okay, etc. So, IDS is only useful if contingency plans are in place to curb attacks as they are occurring. Okay. So, it is a sort of a live system. Thank you very much.